Hello and Assalamu alaikum, mystery enthusiasts. Today we dive into the climatic ending of Act 2 in the Valley of Fear by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This second act transports us from the familiar street of Baker Street to the rugged mining towns of Pennsylvania, where the shadowy secrets behind the murder come to light. Act 2, Scene 6 was performed at Crow Hill Mine, 1875. As soon as Josiah Dunn begins to suspect Lawler and Andrews' involvement in the crowd of miners, they promptly shot him dead. Menzies, who was another miner, also falls victim to their gunfire. McMurdo and Scanlon have a clear view of the entire gruesome scene. Scanlon is so disturbed that he starts vomiting after witnessing the brutal murder. This scene showcases the violent and lawless nature of the Crow Hill mine controlled by the Scourers. This event also sets the stage for Sherlock Holmes' investigation into the murder and the mysteries surrounding the Scourers. Back in 1895, in a quiet dining room at the Westville Arms, Holmes and Watson enjoy breakfast. Inspector MacDonald and Mason soon join them. Holmes expresses his opinion that pursuing the cyclist is a waste of time and he advises them to drop the case. When they ask him for an explanation, Holmes reveals that he has already uncovered the history of Burlstone Manor, including the existence of a secret cellar which was used for hiding. He shares that King Charles II once took refuge there during a war. Holmes then instructs Mr. MacDonald to write a letter to Mr. Barker, informing him that they intend to drain the moat in search of clues. It is marking the first step in Holmes' strategic plan. Returning to 1875 at Union House Salon, 1875, Morris, who is already, we know that, a nervous scourer, reveals to McMurdo that Birdie Edwards, a Pinkerton agent, is working undercover in Vermissa Valley. He shares a decoded telegram with him, which was received by one of his friends at the telegram office. Morris doesn't want to be a part of the matter, and he requests McMurdo to inform McGinty without telling his name or by keeping his name a secret. McMurdo informs McGinty about Birdie Edwards' presence in Vermissa Valley and his intentions. They later plan to kill him secretly. Now, in Burlstone Manor in 1895, Holmes gathers Barker, Mason, Watson, and Mrs. Douglas. He reveals the evidence he retrieved from the moat to Barker, Mason, Watson, and Mrs. Douglas. He was showcasing the American style clothing, boots, knife, pants, and overcoat. They were all wrapped around the dumbbell. Now, this is the same dumbbell Holmes was suspecting from scene 1. He explains that he carefully replaced the bundle and sent a letter to Mr. Barker proposing to drain the moat with the intention of catching the person responsible for hiding the items during the retrieval process. In Act 2, Scene 10, tension reaches a billion point as McMurdo, McGinty, and the other notorious scourers were waiting eagerly to eliminate Birdie Edwards. But in a surprising turn of events, McMurdo reveals his true identity as Birdie Edwards, the Pinkerton detective he and the scourer had been waiting to ambush. With his cover blown, Captain Marvin seizes the opportunity to arrest the scourers present, including McGinty and Baldwin. However, McGinty and Baldwin vow revenge, swearing that McMurdo's betrayal will not go unanswered. The threat of a future reckoning hangs heavily in the air. setting the stage for a fierce confrontation to come. Act 2, Scene 11 at Burlstone Manor, 1895. In a shocking revelation, Holmes got to know that Mr. Douglas is alive. During Holmes' investigation at Burlstone Manor, Douglas reveals that the murderer or the murdered man was actually Ted Baldwin, a vengeful scourer. Douglas explains that he wrote a detailed account of the past 20 years of his life, including his involvement with the Scourers and the events leading up to the murder. He also justifies killing Baldwin as self defense, asserting that the authorities have no grounds to arrest him. The last scene of Act 2, Epilogue, was set in 221B Baker Street, 1895. It's a sitting room where Holmes and Watson are reviewing the notes left by Mr. John Douglas. Watson assumes that now the case is solved, but Holmes disagrees. He's sensing that the mystery is far from over. Their discussion is interrupted by Barker, who enters with the devastating news: Douglas has been killed. Holmes immediately rules out coincidence, declaring it a deliberate murder. He also reveals a surprising twist. The killer is not an American, as initially suspected, but rather someone from London. Holmes' eyes narrow as he suspects none other than the cunning Professor Moriarty, his arch nemesis of orchestrating the crime. If you have any questions about the events, characters, or suspense building techniques in the Valley of Fear, feel free to ask in the comment box. Thank you for joining and stay tuned for more intriguing analysis. Allah Hafiz.